Just wanted to do a quick video today regarding the housing crisis, supposed housing crisis that's happening. Look at these channels. They say housing crisis, housing crisis, housing crisis. Let me tell you when the housing crisis started, folks. Back in the 80s, you can get a house for sub $100,000. I put it up on a word here. Here we go. So sub 100,000 in the 1980s. And in the 1990s, it went from 100,000 to 150,000. This is roughly speaking. And 2000s, it started going up to 200,000. So, in my opinion, when housing went up above $100,000 for a detached house with a good front yard, backyard, etc., this is when the housing crisis happened, folks, in Canada. The reason why I say that is we are taxed to death. Even back in the 80s, we were taxed to death. And then you add on the increasing cost of everything, food, housing, cars, etc. This is when the housing crisis or the affordability crisis started happening, folks. Around the 1990s, when things started going haywire, right? When they started cutting interest rates and started bringing the Chinese money, right? The Chinese money started happening around 1995 to 2000. This is when the influx of Chinese happening. And they boosted up that's when the prices of everything went up. When the Chinese money laundering happening in Canada, and everything went up. Everything went out of like you saw young Chinese come into the country and they had to driving around expensive cars. Like, what the hell is going on here, right? You think about it. People have been working all their lives, etc., and they can't afford these houses. I mean, these kind of houses and cars, and yet these Chinese come in, right? Well, somehow they have all this wealth out of nowhere, right? So let's go back to the 1980s. I'm going to tell you a story here. So when I was living, we came here in 1981, right? So on our street, one of our friends, his cousins came over. He drove a car. He was like maybe 16, 17. All right? He was working a part-time job. And guess what? He had his own apartment and he had his own car. He had a Dodge Daytona. Remember a Dodge Daytona? That arrow-looking car, right? He had that. You think about it. He was working a part-time job, and he was able to afford to live on his own around 16, I think it was 16 or 17. He had his own apartment. He had his own car, right? Fast forward to today. People can't, even in the 30s, can't afford their own house and their own car, right? And then having maybe $100,000 job, and he can't afford anything. Back then, in the 80s, this dude, he had his own apartment, own car. He was paying for everything for himself with a part-time job. Okay, this is when the the affordability crisis started, folks, in the 1990s. When everything started going up, the housing prices went over 100,000. This is when the housing crisis happened, folks. Not now, not today, when these guys are telling you this, right? Mumbo jumbo, like we're in a housing crisis. No, the housing crisis started when we couldn't afford houses. When the houses started to go over $100,000, folks. This is when the housing crisis happened. This is when the New World Order started taking over, right? The Canada. Even like think about it. Back then, with less population, we had Kmart, we had Simpsons, we had Eaton's, we had Sears, we had all these giant department stores, right? And now, all the department stores are gone, folks. All the department stores are gone. Even the Bay is gone. The last of the big department stores in Canada is gone. So we only have like with the Winners, Walmart's, Canadian Tire. I think Canadian Tire is about to go. Right, Canadian Tire is about to go. Even Tim Hortons, folks. Tim Hortons is not Canadian anymore. It's owned by, I think, it's a Chinese company. Or I don't know what it is right now. Yeah, even Tim Hortons. There's nothing left of Canada anymore, folks. That's how sad it is. There's nothing left of Canada. The identity of Canada is gone. Yeah, that's just a quick video today. Yeah, the housing crisis started after the 1980s when the housing started going up above $100,000. Because we Canadians, we can't afford this stuff, folks. We can't afford this stuff. We're taxed to death, like every other country, like every other Commonwealth country, and yeah, it's ridiculous. The real what I'm telling you right now, when housing starts crashing, I mean really hard, really hard, and we're getting back to 1990s level I think things are starting to correct itself, right? I hope everybody who invested in housing, the mortgage brokers, the real estate agents, the flippers, etc., etc., I hope they get eviscerated. I really hope they get demolished, right? I hope they really get demolished, because this is you are part of the problem, folks. You are the part of the problem. You guys are flipping houses to make it more profitable for yourself, but really you're destroying the country, folks. You've destroyed the country. It's like the Chinese that came in, not all Chinese, but the rich Chinese that came in and started flipping houses, started bidding up houses. They started it, and then it just it got the ball rolling, and then everything went out of control around the 2000s. Around the 2000s, when the houses started going up above 200,000, and that's when things started going downwards for Canada, and you just started seeing department stores going out of business, et cetera, et cetera. You started the identity of Canada it started disappearing, right? So yeah, just a quick video today. Just want to add one more thing. Since housing is going downwards in Canada now, all the people who invested are going to start going bankrupt, and what's going to happen is companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, and whatever equivalent it is in Canada, they're going to start coming in, buying up these houses, and starting only to rent these houses out. Soon you won't be able to own anything, folks. You won't be able to own anything. You only can rent. It's starting to happen in houses. It's starting to happen in cars. It's starting to happen in furniture. Soon you can no longer buy anything. I think you can only rent things out. The subscription paid services, right? That from Netflix, etc., etc. That model is going to come to housing, cars, everything, folks, except for food. I think food you can still buy, but even that's going to be more expensive, right? So, yeah, it's all part of the plan, folks. Everything's it's all part of the plan. Don't rent out, okay? Don't fall for the trap, renting out, because that's what they want, right? These New World Order, they coerce people into doing things that they think you believe that's good for you, but it's bad for everybody, right? They for the past 20, 30 years, they've made you believe, you should buy a house and start renting it out, right? That's what they want you to do, right? Because then everybody gets used to it. Then you know what? Soon, when your children starts looking for a home, guess what? They can't buy a home anymore, folks. You can only rent it out, and only the rich people can rent it out, and everybody else is gonna be on the streets. So it's all part of the plan, folks. You'll own nothing and be happy. Most Canadians, are so brainwashed. They think this is okay, right? Just like what happened in 2020. Most Canadians were brainwashed into thinking, we should have followed the government, followed the media, right? But really, it's all a trap, folks. It's all a trap. Also, I want to add that the digital IDs that's coming out. Okay, a lot of people are thinking, I'll use my phone to pay for things, use an app to scan things, right? Stop doing that, folks. Stop it altogether. That's what they want you to do. They want you to go into the digital realm, right? That's when they really trap you. If you think that things are bad now, just wait till everything's digitized, folks. Just wait till everything's digitized. You want to see slavery? Wait till that happens. When everything's digitized, that's it. It's game over. It's game over. Total control over your body, your mind, your soul, everything.